It's been almost 2 years since I bought my fully built 6-speed swapped Legacy GT Wagon. It seemed like we were making good progress. On the last episode, we got the engine running. Then, out of nowhere, it stopped showing up on social media. No new videos were released in the last 10 months. This Legacy has everything a Subaru fanboy could ask for. So, what happened? December 1st, 2017 is where we last left off with this build, which is about 10 months ago from the time of filming this right now. And a lot has happened since then. The last that we saw, we had gotten the engine started and it was running, but it was making a very uncomfortable rattling noise. So I wanted to take a borescope and look inside all of the cylinders and make sure that there was nothing inside the cylinders causing that noise. A friend had told me that they had gotten a bolt in the cylinder before, causing some damage, so I wanted to make sure that wasn't the case. Thankfully, it turned out to be okay and all of the cylinders were clear, but while I was underneath the car, I got a good look at the downpipe and saw that there was a small crack in the downpipe. I pulled the downpipe out just because this was hitting some heat shields. We'll see if this might have been causing some rattle, but I also need to fix the exhaust leak that there is in this, so I'm just going to weld this up and put it back in. See if that fixed my rattle. So I had to get that downpipe welded up to kind of reduce some of the noise that might be happening in the engine bay. Once I put the downpipe back into the engine, the noise actually kind of went away. It kind of faded out as the engine was running a little bit. So my best guess is that the oil needed a little bit of time to circulate throughout the engine. Even though I did prime the engine before I fired it, my best guess is just that it had been sitting for so long that it really took a while for the oil to get into all of the different places that it needed to be in the engine. But thankfully, that's not a problem anymore. But I then ran into a significantly more pressing issue. The access port won't actually connect to the car, and I'm trying to load on a base tune onto it, and it connects, it gets power, but it doesn't see that the ignition is turned on, even when the ignition is clearly turned on. The car does start, so something's going off here. I'm gonna probably take this car up to DC and have some friends work on it at a shop that is just, I love working on my own cars, I love working on my own vehicles, but I've got too much on my hands right now, and the Escort is really what kind of demands my priority. After having this car for about 1.5 years, it was finally time to take it to some professionals that can really make some progress on this car. Alright, so we're driving up to DC to drop off the Legacy at a shop who's gonna kind of take on the project, because I've got so many projects going on right now, especially with tracking the Escort now. It kind of demands a lot of my time, and I just don't have the time to kind of figure out all the wiring mess in the Legacy. So, towing it up to a shop to have them take care of it. This is Mark. Mark's helping me tow it. Mark's a good guy.
At times.
We are at Andrewtech Automotive Solutions here in Gaithersburg, Maryland. We are a Subaru specialty shop. We do anything from oil changes to tires to 1,000 horsepower if you want. Ben reached out to us about his Legacy, and a lot of people weren't willing to take the project on, but for us, we were interested. We're always up for a challenge, so we told him bring it on by.
Ben dropped off his sweet blue Legacy wagon that he couldn't figure out, so here we are. We're gonna figure out a bunch of potential electrical issues that may just be one thing, but who knows, here we go.
First step is a bunch of electrical issues. We need to figure out what's going on with that.
Hey, like legitimately seized in here, it's crazy.
So upon further investigation, it looks like the Legacy has suffered the same fate as the Titanic, and it has drowned at some point in its life. All the wires are rusted out, corroded, and not usable. The entire harness needs to be replaced, so we have to strip the whole car.
And we're back to the present day. That's actually as far as we got there at Andrewtech. I ran into the death of this project, and that is the title. I've owned the car for 2 years, and in that 2 years I was trying to get the title. It is just very confusing and difficult to get into, and I don't necessarily want to get into it on a YouTube video. I had to jump through 4 different states in order to get that title. And before you comment below telling me all the different ways I can get a title, I'm aware, I've looked into those, but they cost me more money and more risk than I want to spend on this car that I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get running and driving on the road. So I decided to just let it go.
I just gave up. Deciding to essentially part ways with Legacy is ultimately the best decision, just because it's going to cost way more than swapping any car just to get it to just run correctly. So it's just not cost effective. It'd be more cost effective to buy a house.
What ended up happening, we parted the car out for Ben, and he was able to get almost all of his investment back, and then he threw all that right back into another car.